Whoa. Okay. How did that happen? All right. Hey, look at this, guys. So, 96% chance of being turned down outbound B2C telemarketing. This is just a little piece that someone who supposedly does calling says. If you don't pick up, I mark your lead as no answer in the system programs. This is robocalls. Another call for a few days later. A company does not have a large lead pool. You may get called as soon as 12 hours later. It's actually better to answer than to let the phone keep ringing. When you answer, this person references the 3 no's rule. Don't let the customer go until she said no 3 times during the phone call. After the first 2 no's, they're more likely to spend money. If you don't purchase the item, I will log everything you've said and suggest calling you back another time. These are logged as callbacks. Tiny gold nuggets for telemarketers to follow up on. Okay. The list for B2C outbound is the most important. Now, if you don't do robocalling, if you're just calling, it's not illegal. It's okay as long as you're not calling numbers on the do not call list. And these are the elements that contribute most to the, selling stuff if you're using the phone to do that. The list, the offer, the person on the phone, the rep, and then the script. The list is supposedly the most important. By the way, folks, the teleservices industry, which includes really mostly B2C, okay? It's B2C inbound, right? Customer service centers, call centers, whether in India or North Dakota, and B2C outbound, legitimate outbound, not the robocalling crooked stuff. But there's flexible employment here for everyone. There are lots of people working from home. These places are usually in small and rural communities. For nonprofits, telephone outbound is the single most successful tool. And so there's some positives there about the industry for us all to keep in mind here, right? People work from home, especially since COVID. So here's where we are now. We're going to talk about some of the problems, robocalls, neighbor spoofing, and outright fraud. So computerized auto dialing. If it's done for political surveys, etc., it's okay. And if it's done for public service or emergency announcements, it's okay. But when it's just regular B2C selling stuff, it's not okay. And just so you know, anyone who has a phone number can get these calls. Okay? By the way, look what happened here. Here was a data hack, and there were lots of data hacks, where somebody gets phone numbers. And guess what? When they get the phone numbers, they're for sale on the dark web. So bad actors can go in and purchase phone numbers that have been hacked on the dark web, and then input them into a robocalling operation. This is the dark web we're looking at here, folks. Okay, this is an actual screenshot from the dark web, which I didn't get, but Walter Kerner, who's the head of here at FIT, the head of all of our security, internet security. He's a great guy. He does guest lectures in my database marketing class, the one that some of you will take next term. Gave me this. Okay, those phone numbers will be for sale on the dark web. So there are more robocalls. We know it's a problem. Here's robocall complaints filed with the Federal Trade Commission from '09 through 13. Hundreds of thousands of robocalls being reported. This is just an example of the geography involved in a robocall. The telemarketer is there at the beginning. You see the blue arrow, and you'll see the cell phone in North America there on the left. It's the second blue arrow, and you see that the call is routed all over the place, routed to an auto dialer, some kind of qualifier for the numbers. It's voice over internet protocol, and this is all happening like in Russia over here on the right, which does a lot of this stuff, hacking and other things, and these calls. And the call goes back to a telephone carrier, gets switched into a public telephone network, and eventually goes to a telephone carrier and goes to the person's phone. But these things they can't be traced. See, that's the message here. You just can't trace who's really doing these things. I think we talked already about spoofing. And neighbor spoofing is when the robocaller can mask their real phone number to make it look like your area code and a number that looks like your number. And this is being worked on, folks. Now, by the way, there is a lot of fraud going on out here over the phone. Normally, if I was in class, I would ask people to raise their hands if they or anyone they knew was a victim of a fraud. Now, I have a very good friend. He's now in his 80s, who was called. His number was just auto-dialed, and he picked up, and an actual human being was connected who said, "I'm your favorite grandson, I'm in jail," and my friend put a $3,000 bail on his American Express card. This is the guy who was a CEO of a $200 million company. So, fraud over the phone, particularly going after older people. There is legislation fighting this. The Telephone Consumer Protection Act, TCPA, and this set up the do not call lists. Rules were revised 2012. Federal Communications Commission says telemarketers have to get consent before robocalling them. And there's some other things going on here. The do not call registry, that works. You can put your number in there. There's the information about the do not call list. The Traced Act has just recently taken place. This is help with a robocall problem. There is a way to find spoofed numbers, as you see here, by using digital fingerprints. They can see whether the real number from which the call is placed is the same as the number that shows up on the caller ID. And you'll see more spam likely labels, I know I have, coming up from your mobile carrier. Traced Act. Shaken stirred. That's martini, please. Shaken, not stirred. That's the Shaken, Stir, Shaken Act authentication system. There's James Bond, the best James Bond. So, some of the bad things, some of the legislation, and when you've got crooks out there, it's like anything. They get smarter, they come up with new ideas, and then the defense comes up with a way to block that, and then they have another new idea, and the defense blocks that, and on it goes. Telemarketing is an all-purpose tool. Potential to be pretty bad. And if you want extra credit, you're going to send me, I've only gotten one so far, your ideas about how to run a really good telemarketing program in the 4 basic areas. I was going to have each team do it, but now we're just doing it for extra credit. Okay, so that's the end of, you know that on the 13th, I'm recording this on Tuesday, is it the 12th? Wednesday, you're presenting your classic direct mail pieces, and then the 20th is the midterm, and then we'll start part 2 of issues after that. Okay, guys, we're over and out.